Absolutely. Here's a 500-word story built around the topic. Stop being kind to everyone. The truth no one is telling you, told in a relatable and thought-provoking narrative style. Maria's breaking point, the day kindness went too far. Maria had always been the nice one. At 63, she was the one her neighbors called when they needed help with their garden. The one who always brought extra cookies to church. The one who babysat her grandchildren last minute, even when she had other plans. "You're just so kind," people always said. And she was, kind to a fault. But one Wednesday afternoon, Maria stood in the middle of her kitchen, holding her phone, frozen. She had just been asked again to drop everything and help with something that wasn't her responsibility. Her heart beat fast, not out of stress, but realization. She wasn't tired. She was done. That evening, she sat with a cup of tea and thought about all the times she said yes when she wanted to say no. How often had she swallowed her feelings to keep the peace? How many times had she let others drain her energy because she didn't want to disappoint them? The truth hit hard. Being kind to everyone had left her being kind to no one, especially herself. Maria started reading about boundaries. What she found was eye-opening. Kindness without limits isn't kindness, it's people-pleasing. It's fear wearing a smile. It's giving so much of yourself that there's nothing left when you need you. The next time someone asked her to help, something she could do but didn't want to, she paused. She smiled and said, "I can't today, but I hope it works out." It felt awkward, almost rebellious. But afterward, she felt something she hadn't felt in a long time: power. Maria began choosing where her kindness went, not letting it be taken. She stopped answering every call immediately. She didn't feel guilty when she rested instead of rushing to meet someone else's needs. And a funny thing happened. People respected her more. They didn't walk away. They adapted. She realized that real kindness wasn't about being liked. It was about being honest. Saying no when she meant it made her yes more genuine. And she became more present, more joyful, more herself with the people she truly cared about. One Sunday, her daughter said, "Mom, you seem lighter." Maria smiled. "I stopped trying to carry everyone else's weight. Kindness is a beautiful thing, but only when it's rooted in self-respect. The truth no one tells you is that kindness without boundaries becomes self-betrayal." Maria learned that the hard way. But now she wore her kindness like a tailored coat, not something others could take off her back, but something she chose to wear on her terms. Her energy returned. Her joy returned. And most importantly, she returned. Because sometimes the bravest thing a kind person can do is stop being kind to everyone and start being kind to themselves. Would you like a powerful two-sentence version of this message turned into a voiceover? I can help with that. Absolutely. Here's a 500-word continuation of Maria's story, exploring how her decision to set boundaries reshaped her relationships and inner world. As Maria stepped into her new way of being, she realized just how deeply her old habits had affected every corner of her life. She had always thought being endlessly available made her dependable. But in truth, it had left her emotionally exhausted and quietly resentful. People hadn't meant to take advantage, but they'd gotten used to her always being the one who never said no. The moment she stopped automatically offering herself up to every request, things began to shift. At first, there were some raised eyebrows. A few friends even questioned her. "Are you okay?" "You're not yourself lately," one said, after Maria declined to organize yet another fundraiser. Maria smiled kindly and replied, "Actually, I'm more myself than I've been in years." It was uncomfortable. Yes, saying no went against everything she'd been taught as a woman, a mother, a friend. But that discomfort was quickly replaced by something deeper: peace. She had time to sit and read without guilt. She joined a watercolor class she'd always wanted to try. She started cooking meals just for herself, slow, simple, and nourishing, not just to feed others. With every act of self-respect, Maria was building a new kind of strength. It wasn't loud or forceful. It was rooted, calm, unshakable. What surprised her most was how this shift improved her real relationships. The people who truly loved her didn't disappear. They leaned in. Her daughter began taking more initiative instead of assuming mom would handle everything. Her best friend, Susan, admitted that she too had been feeling overwhelmed by trying to be there for everyone and no one at once. They had deep, honest conversations they'd never dared to have before about emotional labor, about how women were raised to accommodate, and about the quiet damage that can come from never putting yourself first. One morning, Maria walked past the mirror and barely recognized the woman looking back, not because she looked different, but because she felt lighter, freer. Her eyes didn't carry the silent weight of obligation anymore. She smiled more often, laughed more freely, and her days were no longer dictated by everyone else's emergencies. She wasn't rude. She wasn't cold. She was clear, and that clarity became a quiet superpower. For the first time, Maria's kindness came from a place of fullness, not depletion. She gave when it felt right, not out of guilt. She listened with intention instead of obligation. And when she gave her time or energy, people could feel the difference. It was real, it was whole, and it came from a woman who had finally learned that love isn't about pouring until you're empty. It's about filling your own cup first and letting it overflow. Maria used to think kindness meant being everything for everyone. Now she knew the truth. Real kindness starts by being everything for yourself first. Let me know if you'd like a powerful voiceover of this final message. Just 2 sentences, any voice you'd like. Absolutely. Here's a 200-word paragraph that wraps up Maria's journey with a strong, empowering tone. Months into her transformation, Maria no longer flinched when her phone rang. She didn't rush to answer every text or overextend herself out of habit. Instead, she paused, checked in with how she felt, and responded with intention. She had reclaimed not just her time, but her self-worth. What once felt selfish now felt sacred. Her life had space again, space to breathe, to dream, to rest. She realized that setting boundaries didn't push people away. It filtered in the right ones. Her relationships became deeper, more respectful. The people who truly cared stayed, and those who only valued her for what she gave quietly drifted away. And that, she discovered, was a gift in itself. Kindness, she learned, was never meant to be a performance. It was meant to be a conscious choice, rooted in truth, not obligation. One quiet afternoon, as she sipped tea on her porch, Maria smiled and whispered to herself, "I'm still kind. I've just stopped abandoning myself to prove it." For the first time in her life, she didn't feel guilty for choosing peace. She felt proud, because the truth no one told her, but she now lived fully, was this: you don't have to lose yourself to love others. Let me know if you'd like a voiceover line based on this.